Hello everybody and welcome to Create a Sim. I know, voiceover, wait, hello, welcome. It's me, BlueFluffyDuck, or Jeff, I don't know either one. What you're watching is a Create a Sim on a family that I've been playing in my spare time. They're actually my current household, I guess you would call them. But this family will be the family that we get to play seasons with, okay? Now, I've never done a proper Sims 4 series on my channel. I have done a little one, but not like a big one, and it's going to be around seasons and just showing how I play The Sims as well, because I'm a crazy person, right? Like, just to give you a little brief history on how crazy I can get with my Sim stories. I'm going to tell you the story of this family right now, like the backstory so far, and then obviously I'll play the rest with you guys when seasons comes out. So right now we are making over Belle. She is a writer, she's creative, ambitious, and she's a cat lover. So Belle was the youngest of 4 children, and she's a twin actually, but she was the twin that came out second. But she's the youngest of 4 children, and she was actually kind of like really artsy. She took after her mum. Her mum used to like paint, and she took after her mum and was like drawing a lot when she was younger. But then when she kind of hit teenage years, she started to write more instead of doing art. She started to become a bit more ambitious in school, because literally when she was in like grade school, I guess, because that's what they kind of call it. When she was in grade school, or like, you know, middle school, whatever, she literally threw her homework away. So yeah. But she hit like high school and she was like, actually, I really like writing, I really like English, and she took like, she really liked English a lot, and she just kind of went with it. So she went from being like an F student to an A student. It was crazy. Now, in high school, she met a guy who I will get in, like, it is the guy in the family, surprise, surprise. But she met a guy in high school. Now, she didn't know much about his where he came from and all that, except he was in his last year and she was in her second year, roughly. They basically met when he was like 18 and she was 16. And they kind of were in a group because her sister made this group because her sister was popular and she wasn't, but her mum made her go out with her sister and all that jazz. And they met and they were chatting and had like a lot in common, like a lot. He likes reading books, she likes writing books. They did the woohoo. I know, right? They did the woohoo. How scandalous. They did the woohoo at like a party, I believe, if I remember rightly. It's been a while. I have played this family for a very long time. They were like deeply in love by this point. They were like really kind of, they exchanged promise rings, that kind of thing. And about a week later, he called her up and was like, I need to talk to you. And she was like, oh my god, he's going off to college, he's going to dump me, or, you know, he's not gonna, you know, she was like worried. And then she was like, no, it's probably gonna be fine, you know, we're really invested in this relationship. And she went to meet him at the place where they first met, which is the Bluffs in Windberg. And he was like, I'm moving away with my family, and I'll never see you again. And she was like, what? And he was like, yeah, I know. But it's going to be impossible to see you. And, oh, buddy, she did not take that well at all. She like yelled at him. She was like, I can't believe you're doing this. You must have known, you know, you knew your parents' company was moving. And he was like, I didn't know this. Why are you being like this? I thought we had something. I just feel like maybe if it's meant to be, what it will be. And she was like, cut that. You know, stop that. Stop lying to me. And I believe that she like said, we're done. She was like, before you can properly break up with me, I'm breaking up with you. We're done. We're not friends either. She stormed off and she went home. She was crying. She was so sad for such a long time. For about a week, couple of weeks after that, she was so heartbroken. It's so sad. And her parents noticed this as well. And her parents were like, they knew of someone at their work who had a cat who had kittens, and one of them was a little ginger kitten, and she has always wanted a little ginger cat. So they're like, to cheer her up, because, she's very, very sad. We're going to give her this responsibility. Little did they know, about 2.5 weeks later, she was just feeling nauseous and sick every morning. It was ridiculous. She couldn't move 2 seconds without wanting to throw up. It was crazy. And she freaked out, because she kind of had this feeling that, only takes one woohoo dance to make a baby. So she stayed at home one day, saying like, "Oh, Mum, I'm not going to go and I don't feel very well." And her mum was like, "Okay, it's fine. Me and your dad are going to go off to an art exhibition." Because like I said, she likes art. She took the pregnancy test and she was pregnant. Bum, bum, bum. Teen pregnancy. So she got pregnant at 16 and he was 18. Oh. And she was like worried. She was so scared. She told her twin sister at the time, because her twin sister was like, they were like super close. Like they still are very, very close. She always comes around the house to the point where it's a bit scary. I'm like, oh god, didn't realise you were here. Older sister was like, "We'll go to the doctor, make sure you're actually pregnant, and if you are, then we will tell Mum and Dad, and we'll see how they deal with it." Now, when they went out to the art exhibition, her parents, they actually went out to go get the cat. So they came back with this ginger cat, and they're like, "Why are you so sad? Why are you crying?" She's like, "Nothing, I just really like the cat," and like not being able to tell them. But it was literally like the day after her mum took her out shopping, so it was like the weekend, I think. And she was like, "Mum, I'm pregnant." And she was like, I kind of guessed. And Belle was like, "What? How?" And it was a very particular thing of when she was pregnant, when her mum was pregnant with all of her kids, she would have like this microwave chocolate pudding thing. And Belle had started doing that. And her mum just kind of thought maybe it's a possibility, She was aware that her daughter had done the woohoo. She was like, "We'll support you, we'll help you. You're going to have to look after that cat now, though. That's your responsibility too." And, it was really nice. It was like, and her mum was like, "Have you told your dad yet?" And she just shook her head. Basically, Belle took her dad to a fishing spot that they used to fish at when they were younger. Because she was definitely a tomboy when she was younger. Tomboy, artsy kind of girl. And took her to a fishing spot. And, they were joking like, "Oh, do you remember when you were young and you fell in? Or trying to catch that fish with your hands? That's not how you meant to fish, lol, lol, lol." And she just sort of turned around and was like, "I'm pregnant." And he I'm not gonna lie to you, he didn't take it well. He left and he went to go have a drink. It wasn't like a drink, he actually went to like a coffee house place. And eventually, Belle went home, was like crying her eyes out. And eventually the dad came home and was like, "I'm not mad at you, I'm mad at the guy, I'm mad at Bryce. Oh, Bryce. Oh, Bryce." Like, he got really angry, and she was like, "Doesn't even matter, he's moved away, he's moved around the other side of the world now. Screw him." And the dad was like, "Yeah, that's right, screw him." So the whole family knew. By this point, her two older siblings had moved out. It was just her and her twin sister and the mum and the dad. And the family dog, Gracie. So it was just them, and they brought her a little bassinet to have the baby when the baby comes back from hospital. And one thing that people kept asking, like her friends asked, her mum asked, her dad asked, and then finally one night her twin sister came and said, "Have you told Bryce?" Belle said, "I certainly need to face to face. He's across the other side of the world." And then, Martina, that's the twin sister's name. Martina was like, "Well, I've heard from my boyfriend that Bryce has moved back to town with his family. They've moved back to Oasis Springs." And she was like, "What? Excuse me? Hello?" She broke down. This is a emotional pregnant woman who was very much in her third trimester by this point. And it was one of those things where she really had to work up the courage, and it was, I believe, like, kind of in her last month, she was like, "Okay, I need to tell him. I really do." So again, she messaged him and was like, hey, Bryce, I heard you're back in town. I feel like we need to talk. And he was like, sure, where do you want to meet? And then Belle said, the Bluffs. They met up at the Bluffs, and she was quite clearly pregnant. She did try to hide it under a big baggy, jumpery jobby. But he knew. He freaked out. By this point, she was like 17, almost 18, finishing high school. So it wasn't like super teen pregnant. That doesn't make sense. She was like 17, I think. And pregnant with your baby. And it like kicked at that point. And she was like, she literally pulled his hands onto her stomach and was like, feel. And it kicked. And he was like, whoa, you are pregnant. And then he kind of stood back and was like, whoa, you are pregnant, and left. He straight up left. She broke down in tears, stayed at the Bluffs just crying her little eyes out. And I think about in the springtime, she had my girl, little Bobbie-May. She had little Bobbie-May Scott, and she was the cutest little thing. It was like Belle had been missing something out of her life, but she didn't know what it was until she saw little Bobbie. It was really, really cute, and she started to write books actually about her experience being a mum and the romance and the trials and tribulations of her life, and she actually started to gain some royalties from that, and some acknowledgement, to the point where in her last year of high school, before she was about to graduate, she got a letter through from a news company in Newcrest saying, if you want a job as a columnist for our newspaper, we want you, so let us know. And she took that job. She was like, I'm gonna take it. After I graduate, I'm moving to Newcrest. And her sister was like, I'm moving with you, because her sister's very much like that. She's very like, not annoying, but she's very much like, I'm gonna be with you, I'm gonna be your best friend, I'm gonna be your protector, I'm gonna be everything. Also, Bobbie was still a baby at this point, so it kind of made sense, especially because Bryce was not in the picture at this point. Spoilers. I'm a crazy person. So they moved to Newcrest. They graduated. Belle actually graduated, despite being pregnant. Graduated, top of her class, on the honor roll. It's amazing. She was real cool. And Martina was just kind of like so-so, because she had exchanged promise rings with her boyfriend, and they were talking about getting engaged and getting married and stuff. But Belle having the baby kind of put things on hold. But he was around all the time when they first moved out to Newcrest. So it was Belle, little Bobbie, little Leo the cat, and Martina, and then occasionally the boyfriend would come and stay around for every now and again. And it was a very small, very, very small place for like 3 to 4 adults plus a cat. And let me tell you, Leo, he looks all sweet and innocent. He's an asshole. He's the worst cat, especially when he was a kitten. He used to jump up and eat food off the table like nobody's business. So yeah, she just like lived her life, going to the newspaper, writing articles, writing books as well in her spare time. And Bobbie aged up from a baby to a toddler. And it was about that stage where she got a text message from Bryce saying, hey, I heard you're in Newcrest. I want to meet up and talk to you. And she was like, okay, sure. She was like hesitant because of how much she got hurt back in the day. And so they met up for a dinner. And basically what she'd done is she had asked Martina to come by about an hour later with toddler Bobbie at that point. So she was chatting, and she was saying how great her job is, how she loves doing something she's so passionate about. And he was like, yeah, I know, I've read your articles. And she was like, like he still remembers and thinks about me. And then Martina came in and was like, oh, hey Belle, hey Bryce. Like that. Like I said, she's very extra, is the best way I can describe her. And then she literally just said, I'm just here to drop off something, and then like put the toddler on, gave the toddler to Belle. And Bobbie was like, mama, and stuff like that, and being all cute. And Bryce was like, is this... And Belle was like, yeah, this is your daughter. This is Bobbie. And he was like, oh, such a nice name. He didn't even know the name of his daughter. Anyway. So they actually started hanging out more often. Like on weekends, he would actually come round, or they would go to the park, and Bryce and Belle would chat, and Bobbie would play, and he was actually getting more involved with Bobbie. He was doing he was like doing the playing animation, like airplanes with Bobbie, and like helping her down slides and playing imagination like spacemen, pirates. It was great. It was a really good time. He was so with the cat. They're now best friends, but he was at the beginning. The cat was like bad demon man. True fact. They had rekindled their friendship. They hadn't done anything romantic at all. It was more of a we're friends, co-parenting jobby. So he then went, I want to take you on a date. A proper date. From then on, they kind of went on a couple of dates, like on the weekends or when she was free, or when Martina could babysit Bobbie. So kind of one thing led to another, and they started dating again, and he started staying around, and then they were like really, 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 really close, and basically Belle's mum and dad used to come around a lot, like, see their granddaughter, see their daughter, just sort of hang out, do the whole grandparent thing. And Belle, one night, while in bed chatting with Bryce, she said, do your parents know about us? Kind of thinking, oh, it's such a stupid question. He's gonna, he's gonna poke fun at me saying that. And he was like, no, good night. And he like rolled over and turned the light off. And she was like, and she like woke up, and then they had an argument. And Bryce basically went into his backstory about how horrible his parents actually are. His parents actually hate children. And they only had Bryce to have a lineage to their company. They're joint CEOs, I believe. And Bryce was just a kind of... He's going to go into the business career whether he likes it or not. And he's going to follow in his father and mother's footsteps. His parents are really mean people. Really, really horrible people. And he basically explained to Belle that the reason he hadn't told them yet was because he knew that if he told them that, one, he's seeing Belle, who, by the way, being a writer in their eyes is a really stupid career move. It's not. It's a really cool move, but he's like stupid. And that Bryce and Belle had a child out of wedlock, Bobbie. Bobbie, Bryce, Belle. I didn't even think about that. Belle gave Bryce an ultimatum. She said, if you tell your parents, you won't lose me and Bobbie and this family. And no matter what your mother or father say, we will always be there for you. On the other hand, if you don't tell them, you'll lose us. I will move and I will not tell you where we've gone. And I will file for single custody on Bobbie. Which he sort of went, I love you. I love you deeply, honestly, truly. And I can't imagine life without Bobbie in my, I can't imagine not knowing Bobbie. She's the best girl ever. And he was like, in fact, she's my favourite daughter. Yuck. So they went there. They went to their parents' mansion. And the parents were very, like, oh, hey, hello, how's... like, courteous. Like, oh, hello, it's... I forgot their names. But he was like, your son's here. I've forgotten the dad and the mum's name. Awkward. And then Bryce came in and was like, I want to introduce you to my girlfriend. And they're like, oh, are you a lawyer? And she was like, nope. Are you, what do you do? And she was like, I write. And both of them went, and without, they then turned to Bryce, even though Belle was in the room, and said, really? Her? And she just went off on one. She was like, how dare you? I've sat right here. And basically, she had asked Martina to come to look after Bobbie in the car. And then Martina came in with Bobbie. And Belle was like, this is your grandchild. And then she just like dropped the mic and left. And left Bryce to kind of... No, she didn't leave Bryce. She just took Bobbie back out so Bobbie wouldn't be in between the adults arguing. And the dad was like silent for this whole thing. And they were having a proper argument backwards and forward. And the dad was like, enough. Bryce, I'm going to give you a decision. We either stay with the company and forget about her and that child, or you choose the child and this woman, but you lose any inheritance you'll gain, you'll be disowned, and you'll never see us again. And Bryce took the hand of Belle and said, I let her go once, I'm never letting her go again. Oh god. Damn, I should make a goddamn romance movie. And he was like, right, leave my house, stranger. And they left. And they left. It was crazy. It was a crazy roller coaster ride, that conversation. Bobbie had aged up from a toddler into a child. So I'd say about 7. So about when Bobbie was 7, they all went to have a picnic at the Bluffs, and Bryce was like, you know, I was worried that I'd miss my mum and dad, but honestly, this is my family now. You, Bobbie, the cat, Leo, are my family now. And he said, I love you from here to the moon. You know, I don't think I'll ever love another woman like I love you. And she was like in tears, and then he bent down on one knee and he proposed. And of course she said yes, she's not crazy. And Bobbie was there taking pictures, like, oh my goodness. Bobbie really likes taking pictures. She was like, yes, cool. And they got engaged, and fairly soon afterwards they got married. Because they're like, I don't want to wait any longer, you know. Our lives have been a roller coaster, and I want to get off this roller coaster ride and just walk along a nice steady path with you. So they got married, I would say, like a month or 2 later, which seems a bit rushed, but they already have a kid, so who knows. Like I said, it was just more of a case of they just want to get it over and done with by this point. Unfortunately, by this point, Belle's dad had actually died. Travis Scott, you might be familiar with the name. He had actually died by this point, which is it's sad because she had no one to walk her down the aisle, except her mum actually stepped and was like, oh, I'll walk you down the aisle, it's fine. So she was in charge of inviting people as well, and she, on a whim, invited Bryce's parents. And shock horror, they turned up. They didn't talk to them at all. They didn't say anything to anybody. Belle's mum was honestly about to throw a cup of punch on them. But Belle was like, no fights, they're here, that means something. And they literally stayed for the wedding-y part and then left. They didn't stay for the reception. But, you know, baby steps and all. But they had like a really nice party and a really nice shindig, and they had a family holiday in, what is it called? The tropical place that came out recently. They had a nice little holiday for 3 weeks. 3 weeks? Yeah, sure. We'll go for 3 weeks. It's actually 3 days, but definitely 3 weeks. And on the last night, Belle took a pregnancy test, and she was pregnant again. Yay! Which is why in the creator sim, she looks like she's pregnant. Cause she is. Belle now writes from home full time. She doesn't write at the newspaper anymore. They actually moved, in fact. They moved to Windenburg because it's such a special place to them. Bryce quit being in the business because, well, his father sort of said, you know, since you aren't related to me anymore, your job position's gone too. So he was like, oh, okay. And he's now in the athletic career, doing what he loves. He loves being athletic. And Bobbie is a C student in love with the violin. And little Leo is just little Leo. He's a little Scotch fold crazy man. So today, obviously, is this creator sim that you're watching now. To introduce you to this family, to the main family of my Seasons Let's Play that will happen when Seasons comes out in like 2 weeks' time. Tomorrow there'll be another Sims video. It's basically gonna be a Sims video for the next 3 days. So tomorrow will be me making their house, their new house. On Sunday, you will get a current household playthrough, and then I won't touch them until Seasons comes out. Woo! And we'll have some fun time playing Seasons. So, if you guys are excited for a Sims 4 series, I am. I love watching Sims series, especially like X Urban Sims, X and Deligracy, Life Simmer when she used to be a bit more around on YouTube, and just loads of different people. I've watched so many people play The Sims, it's ridiculous. And I can't wait to develop this storyline with you guys now and get your input and your feedback. So if you guys are excited for this series coming up in a couple of weeks, then don't forget to leave a like, comment, favourite, subscribe and share, because sharing is caring, but don't feel obliged to do any of those things if you don't want to. I understand. And if you're about to subscribe because you're cool, or you have already subscribed because you're super, super cool, there is a little bell icon next to it. Ding it, turn on all notifications. It is your best chance to know when I upload videos, because YouTube is YouTube, and I'm going to leave it at that. And I will see you with this household in the next video, I guess. So yeah, I'll see you then. Bye!